So we're past the point of trusting basically anyone with big ticket events, right? We've gone over and seen more than a few flops semi-recently, but this one is maybe even worse than the Willy Wonka experience, you know? So this company, Archer Fantasy Events, set up an event called A Million Lives that actually only happened a few days back, well, a few weeks back actually now I'm filming this. This was supposed to be this huge weekend-long ticketed event for authors and readers with 100 to 150 authors with their own stands, merch, cosplayers, a panel, and even a huge lavender ball. I don't know what that means. So it's, oh, like a ball to top of the event. And as you probably guessed, as usual, it definitely did not go to plan. Sorry, it's not funny because people have like, okay. It says, welcome to the Million Lives Book Festival, an event so poorly planned that it's trending. So we can see like this hall, which I guess kind of technically has booths in it, but it's not very well done. If you see a huge fly flying around, I'm scared. $10 wine and a fantasy ball. So you can see people are really dressed up. That's not a ball, that's just a hall with loads of tables in it. That looks terrible. She looks great. Oh no, it looks like they've just walked into the wrong place.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
A fantasy ball. She's excited, she's ready to go. She's all dressed up. So videos like this have been popping up everywhere on their For You page since the event happened, and everyone is mortified. So just sort of coming back to what this whole event was, right? Before we jump into a story time, let's have a look, because they did, the event provided a timetable. Schedule, Friday, May the 2nd, registration. Okay, then we have vendor hall, which is like, I guess, shopping in a hall. 10:30, journey of being an indie author panel. That's cool if you're into that. And then 11 o'clock, Akatar cosplay meetup. That's those sexy books. 12 to 1, lunch break. 1 to 5, vendor hall again. Writing diversity is next. Cruel Prince cosplay meetup. I don't know what that means. But I'm not a book person, by the way. Bookish song collective performance. Oh no, is that singers? And then, so a lot of panels, basically. Vendor halls, cosplaying again. Also, they're doing like similar things on the same days. Okay, let's see about tickets, right? So tickets, page turner, these are the different levels, $50. So this ticket includes access to our vendor hall, cosplay meetups, and content creation room only on May the 3rd. I wonder what a content creation room is. Cloud Walker, $150. This ticket includes access to our vendor hall, cosplay meetups, panels, event swag bag, and content creation room on May the 2nd and the 3rd. Dreammaker, this is the highest ticket, it's $250. This ticket includes access to our vendor hall, cosplay meetups, panels, event swag bag, and content creation room on May the 2nd and 3rd, and access to our lavender romance ball. So if you wanted to attend this ball, your ticket was going to be $250. Remember what that ball looked like? Now listen, the pricing isn't terrible. For panels and, vendors and a ball, $250. I mean, it's quite pricey. But, I mean, if you're into books, if it's going to be this big thing, that's like a festival ticket. You know what I mean? And it's over, how many days was it over? 2 days? If it was something I was into, say it was well, I don't really like things, but say it was something I was really into, then I would pay that much, you know? Right, we know what everyone would have been expecting from the event, and we're going to find out exactly what went wrong from this account. So this is the author Percy J. She was one of the authors that attended the event and has been the main whistleblower around what went down.
Oh yes, everyone. This was real. This was a real fantasy ball that I just attended not even 12 hours ago. Hi, I'm Percy J, and I attended a Million Lives Book Festival in Baltimore. It was even worse than what you're seeing.
Right,
it is 6 a.m. I have no voice. My body hurts, but I'm not getting sleep. So I might as well tell y'all exactly what happened. And this is going to be a video done in multiple parts because there's no way I could even fit this all into 10 minutes. But yes, I am still in bed. We'll talk about where I am in a second. and I'm in my pajamas because it's literally less embarrassing to be seen as a Dallas Cowboys fan than it was to be an author at this event.
Oh,
Before I get into the
no.
tea, I need to set some ground rules. Everything I am talking about is something that I have seen with my own eyeballs or heard with my own ears. Even if I did experience it and it's not my story to tell, I have permission from others to tell the story. And if I do put tea in here that I did not personally experience but only knew through other people, I will let you know that all of those facts are alleged, but are important to the context of the overall story. So before we talk about the viral disaster that was that ball, I have to channel my inner AP US history teacher and go to the events leading up to section. Because this story starts 18 months ago. Because that's when we all put our deposits down. So I put down my $150 table fee back in February of 2024. I am not from Baltimore, Maryland. I'm from Texas. Which, yes, besties, I flew out for this. But I got in because a lot of my friends were going too. And I knew a lot of people attending. Because the creator reached out to a lot of people who were already pretty prominent in the indieverse sphere. And honestly, I was like, the table fee is $150, why not? I paid more to be at events. And because so many people were going that I wanted to see and hang out with, I planned a lot of major life events around A Million Lives. I'm currently pregnant with twins. I planned my pregnancy around this event like a clown. I scheduled my uncle-in-law's funeral around this event. I even paid extra to sponsor this event. And let's get into that, shall we? Because you know I brought the receipts, girl. Peep the date. After Christmas of 2024, I reached out to Archer Fantasy Events to sponsor A Million Lives. I ended up picking the highest tier of sponsorship because I'm just like, $250? Why not? It's a good deal. So I was supposed to get my logo on the website, an author takeover day in the Facebook group, an author focus day with several posts about me and my books on social media, a medium window or floor decal, where those were supposed to go, I don't know, and my logo on the tote bag. Now, I have been to other events before where I've seen events do all of these things for other people. So I sent them all of my things, my headshots, my covers, my logo, all that stuff. And on January 20th, they received my $250. So if anyone wants to come out and say that I never actually paid for anything, and if you're confused, Book Lover was a free sponsorship tier. And by free, that just means if you bring swag, like stickers, bookmarks, art, whatever. People have done wax melts in the past, candles. Those get put in the swag bags for the VIP attendees. Cool. But we'll get to the swag bags in a minute. Put a pin in that. Hold on to that for a minute. I'm trying to explain this in chronological order. But after that email exchange, it's pretty much crickets. I did not, in fact, get my author takeover day in the Facebook group. There was not a single post about me or my books on Archer Management socials. And we also never got confirmation for how many items we needed to bring for the VIP swag bags. I know what you're thinking, Percy, why didn't you say something earlier whenever you knew that this wasn't going to be done? Because at the end of January, I got pregnant with my twins. And I stopped being active on social media for a while just because of the fatigue and the sickness. And frankly, I came into this event thinking, you know what, it's $250. Whatever. It's not worth my peace. But little did I know that peace was never an option. About 2 weeks before the event, I actually went on the event's website to see what I was actually, getting into. And I started counting the number of authors, vendors, and narrators that were actually coming to the event. It was slated at somewhere around 120. Those kind of numbers are huge. Yeah. But I had not seen any advertising on behalf of the management company for this event. And I looked up a lot of these authors, and a lot of them were brand new on the scene, fresh new indie authors. And the math was not mathing in my brain, because you cannot have 100+ authors, vendors, narrators and not advertise. And then I saw the only posts on Archer Fantasy Events socials were offering the tickets at 40% off. That's when I knew that ain't nobody was coming. That's when I knew. I luckily did not ship any books to Baltimore. I just took what I could fit in my suitcase. But we'll get to that later. So I was going to stay with my friend and fellow author Callista Neath. We were going to be staying at the Hilton that is connected to the Baltimore Convention Center. Does it look like I am in the Hilton to you? No. Neath was a featured authors got their rooms paid for free by Archer Fantasy Events. Allegedly. And on the Wednesday, before we all flew out, the featured authors got an email saying, hey, my rep at the Hilton has not been answering my phone calls or emails over the past week. Past week? Why wasn't this situated over a month ago? And said that she couldn't confirm bookings. And so she was instead moving all the featured authors to the Days Inn across the street. Y'all look at this. There are freaking scratch marks on this bed, bro. And we are authors with these heavy suitcases and boxes. This place did not have a wheelchair ramp. My pregnant ass had to be carrying these 50+ pound suitcases upstairs. And so my expectations are getting lower and lower and lower.
Course,
the bar was on the floor.
Right.
But it went to hell real fast. More coming in part 2, because I told y'all this would be long.
That's insane. Okay. So a lot to unpack in that video. Okay, it seems like she paid thousands in total between deposits, sponsoring, booking tables, and traveling. She was supposed to get posts, her logo, shown by the event. 2 weeks beforehand, she saw that the tickets were being sold at 40% off. She was supposed to have a room at the Hilton, and last minute, everyone was thrown into a random hotel across the street. So, red flags, right? Listen, I still would have gone ahead with the event after spending so much money, especially flying there. You know what I mean? Let's see what else.
Let's talk about the actual event. The registration started at 8, and the authors and vendors all went to the event to start setting up as early as 7 a.m. Only problem is we weren't given directions on how to get into the convention. For those of you who don't know, usually whenever you fly in to bookish events, we move our stuff with suitcases. So we're bopping around the streets of Baltimore at 7 a.m. with these suitcases full of like 70-pound books. Nary an instruction in sight. There's no signs, there's no streamers or balloons saying, hey, book festival this away. Don't know where the event organizer is. But security came in clutch and helped us navigate the convention center. And that will be a reoccurring theme. The security at the convention center was 10 out of 10. They deserve all the praise. I'm getting ahead of myself. So this was the original author vendor narrator setup. I was number 2 over here. All of my friends and other authors and vendors that I knew were also on the same row with me. So I was so jazzed to be with my friends. Put a pin in that, we'll get back to that later. Yeah, but when we got into the convention center, this was not the setup. Some of you who may have been to conventions before see this setup and go, hold up, I don't know if that's gonna fly with fire code. And guess what? This wasn't gonna fly with fire code. So this was all completely different. Instead of having 2 big rows and then a bunch of like other rows like this, it was all just up and down horizontal, which completely messed up everybody's table setup. No one knew where they were going. It was absolute chaos. Also, we got an email from the event coordinator a few days before the event saying, let's clear up some rumors, which that's a heck of a way to start an email, I'll tell you what. But she said, I don't know why people are saying we won't have tables. We'll have tables, and we'll have tablecloths. I'm like, that's kind of a given. I really wonder why this is an issue.
The fact that there's already rumors and shit going around is a little bit strange.
But the tables were indeed there. The tablecloths, however, were not. And of course, if you're setting up a table, you have to put the tablecloth on first. So a lot of people were just standing around on their tables waiting for these magical tablecloths to appear. Luckily, because authors and vendors and narrators are the best people in the world, we were just helping each other out. A lot of people had extra tablecloths we were letting each other borrow. I brought my own. There were a few tablecloths the event provided, but they were already packaged and there weren't very many of them. So that was tough getting set up. So the vendor hall opened at 10 a.m. and the attendees started rolling in. But keep in mind, this is Friday, so this is a VIP only event. Right. So only the people who paid for either the Cloud Walker or the Dream Walkers could come to this event. Y'all, there were maybe 30 people. And this was an all-day situation. I don't even know if this panel happened. We had our lunch break at noon, and to announce the lunch break, the event organizer walked into the event hall and just screamed that we're taking a lunch break. No bullhorn, no PA system, just everybody get out. But also, here's the tea. The event hall wasn't locked for lunch break. People didn't want to abandon their tables if people were still there. Yeah. Also, we didn't have badges. The badges broke. The VIP ticket holders didn't have swag bags. The swag bags were thrown away by the convention center. When you registered with a wristband. For both authors and attendees, they had the same wristbands. Some of them, not everybody had a wristband. I didn't. And the people who donated items for the swag bags. Yeah, they were just told those were thrown away.
No.
And so that's why no one had anything. And so I know what you're thinking. There must have been a replacement for all of this. There must have been something.
I doubt it.
No.
Right.
I was like, what is going on upstairs on the ground floor of the convention hall? You know what the grand entrance was for this magical book festival? This! This is it! The convention hall provided that sign. Those ketchup and mustard looking things on the table, those are the wristbands. Note there is nary a streamer, or a helium balloon, or a banner. Anything to say, hey, this is the event you paid $150 for. Come on down. Even though I know these videos have gotten a lot of attention and everyone knows who everyone is at this point, I still blurred out faces to protect identity just because I don't play the game. But this was the event coordinator at registration. This was Friday morning. But yeah. So we get back from lunch and start selling books. And I know what you're thinking, Percy, you were leaning really hard in that content creation room earlier. What's the deal with that?
Yeah,
So the content creation room was open on Friday. I don't have a picture of it, but I'm gonna need you to trust me. You know that infamous picture from DashCon with the ball pit in the empty room? Picture that exactly without the ball pit. I know you're thinking, Percy, do you mean to tell me that this content creation room that was billed as an amenity was just an empty conference room for people just to walk into and stand in? Yes. Yes, I am. So by the end of Friday, we're like, okay, we are all feeling gut punched because only 40 people showed up. We're trying to figure out how we can either cover our table fees or, God forbid, figure out a way to ship all of our extra books home. Because normally you ship books to the event, you don't pack stuff in your suitcase. Like, not only are we taking a loss on sales not sold, we're gonna have to take a loss on shipping books back. But we all calm down and be like, yo, look, this was just VIP day. We were told there's gonna be 500 tickets sold. Maybe the rest of them are the $50 general admission tickets.
Right, exactly.
So we're just gonna see this huge crowd on Saturday. Spoiler alert, friends! It got even worse.
Okay, so they got to the convention center. There were no signs, this fly. There's no signs, no decor, nothing to say that this is the convention. The setup all the authors had been given beforehand was thrown away basically immediately because of a fire code, which you would think if you had any experience setting up events, you would see that fire code or take into account the fire code beforehand. The VIP first day went awful with maybe 30 people showing up. And to top it all off, they ditched all the goodie bags and managed to even mess up coloured wristbands, which I'm sure you can just buy on Amazon. This is such a slap in the face to these authors who have carried their product, over to this convention that they're promised 500 people are going to turn it up for, with 30 people turning up on their unprofessional looking tables. It's terrible, but I feel like the authors are paying more to be at this event than they're actually even going to make.
Welcome back to the latest installment of the Willy Wonka Experience but with books. This is part 3 of what happened at A Million Lives Festival in Baltimore. So I'm at home, I'm in bed because I've used up all my mobility tokens for the next 3 days, and so I need to rest. But I've started with a headboard, might as well end with a headboard, keep it on theme. So in part 1, we had the lead up to the event. Part 2, we had Friday, the VIP day. And so this is part 3, Saturday, May 3rd, general admission day. Okay. Where 500 people, or 600 depending on when you heard it, were supposed to attend. But in the fairness of TikTok journalism, I have to share everything about my experience, both the bad and the good. Sure, so on Saturday morning, we get to the convention center, and the event has doubled their decorations. Because this sign appeared at the front! We finally have a sign with an arrow giving direction to the registration table! And it matches the original sign over here? So that was a good omen for the day. We took that as improvement.
Sure.
Unfortunately, though, the content creation room was unavailable. My friends and I were so excited to go create content in this designated area for posterity's sake, but we were told the content creation room was closed due to technical difficulties. So whatever that means aside, if you paid $55 to be here on Saturday, The content creation room that you were promised is no longer a thing. So you paid $55 to walk around the convention hall. And I guess technically to do cosplay meetups. So one of the amenities was just meeting with other people in a public place.
Like that.
But at this point, we're not even sure if people were actually getting registered. There was no way to tell who was an attendee, who was an author or vendor, or who was just a random person from the convention center who just happened to go to the basement. And so yes, that wasn't fair to the people who paid a large sum of money just to get access to the space. But as an author, I was just happy that there were people. Right. And just like the signs, it was an omen, like I said. Just as the decorations doubled, so did the attendance. We went from 40 to 80. And like I said, there was no way to actually count because we couldn't tell who was an attendee and who wasn't. But there were other issues from day one that bled into day two. For example, there were mixed messages about this being a family-friendly event or this being an event that where the romance authors could offer their, wares. Some people were told they could bring their kids and did. And I'm talking babies, toddlers, middle schoolers. And some authors were told that it's perfectly fine to display their not safe for work spicy art prints. So you got some art with, frankenbeans and tater tots out. Yeah. Some vendors had lovely crocheted male appendages that were for sale. And I definitely am not holding one just slightly off camera right now.
Why would you need
Let's bring it back to the panels, because we talked about that in part 2. I was supposed to be on a panel, I guess. I don't know when it started. No one knew when the panel started. I was never procured from my table and said, hey, go talk at your panel. So I just didn't go. But then we get to the narrator panel, where you had these lovely, talented professional narrators giving their expertise and knowledge to an audience. But when they got to their panel, there were no chairs. And remember, I said that I'm only going to report on what I saw with my own eyeballs. Because I'm at my table hustling my books, and my buddy Jen walks over and says, you will never guess what's happening upstairs. Your talent was on the floor. Your paying attendees were on the floor.
That's terrible.
And the disrespect doesn't stop there. First of all, we had a lovely tattoo artist who was at the event giving flash tattoos. And I interacted with her for a total of 10 seconds because my friend was getting tattooed and I was just, admiring the work. But she seemed really professional and very concentrated on what she was doing. Apparently, according to the tattoo artist, the event coordinator was saying very negative things about the tattoo artist during the event to the attendees. Now I'm not going to tell the tattoo artist story, that's hers to tell. But if you are in shock and awe that an event coordinator is talking poorly about someone she invited to the event during the event while they're still there, oh, honey. So y'all remember back in part 2 when I brought out this map and I was super excited to be with all of my friends over in this row? And remember back in part 1 when I said that I was only going to report on what I saw with my own eyes and ears, but I was going to bring up an allegedly one time. And for those of you who are patient, this is it. So allegedly, my friends and I were all put up against the wall because we're the problem children. And we're loud and inappropriate and don't want to be an embarrassment to the event.
What?
Now, obviously, I didn't hear this with my own ears, which is why I say that allegedly very hard. But this was said before the event. But according to some other authors, vendors, and attendees, the coordinator was still talking mad nonsense about us during the event. Calling us difficult to work with. Calling some of us divas. And so allegedly, the event coordinator and I had beef, which is odd because, honestly, I don't even know who she is, so this is a surprise to me. But again, this is all allegedly. And other than just the straight up disrespect, there was also some more unfulfilled promises. Like we had no water, not even a water bottle at our tables. We were promised snacks, there was no snacks. And aside from the allegedly disrespectful reason why I was put at the table I was put at, some people didn't like that the heavily pregnant lady, that's me sitting on the floor, I'm big, was put at a table that was far away from the bathrooms. And that I didn't really care about, so I would just go up the escalator to the cleaner bathrooms that were on the ground floor of the convention center. But needless to say, an extraordinary level of disrespect for the people who paid to be at your event, what was there. It was apparent to everyone involved. And I know you're sitting here thinking, Percy, quit yapping. We want to hear about the ball. And I
forgot
know
about the ball. Go
y'all
on.
know what the ball looked like.
Yeah, an
What
empty
y'all
hall.
don't know is what happened at the ball. Because I've seen a lot of people talk about the ball, but there's specific information that I witnessed that has not come out yet. And friends, we have another surprise. Twist ending, if you will. As I was filming this video, I got a notification from the event coordinator because she emailed us. And I want to see what's in that email.
So do I.
So I guess we're going to have a part 4.
Listen. Okay, so quick recap over that one. A few more people turned up to the event, but still a terrible amount of people. And far from the hundreds that they were promised, there was a miscommunication around it being okay for kids to be at the event, even though there were non-safe for work items for sale. The event coordinator was slagging off the tattoo artist they hired at the event and forgot chairs. The most simplest things. You have a panel, you're going to want to put down a few chairs for people to sit at, you know what I mean? The unprofessionalism of slagging off people you invited as well as staff you hired at the event is crazy. Okay, I want to see everything that happened with this ball because we all know the balls are where it's the worst.
Welcome to part 4, everyone.
Thank you.
And this is the big finale. I know all of you have seen the ball at this point, but
Terrible.
everyone was so shocked about the lack of anything at this ball that no one talked about what actually happened at the ball. But as an eyewitness, you know I'm going to come through with the tea. So like all of you have already seen, this was the Lavender Romance Ball that cost $250 American dollars in this economy to attend.
Right.
But I can't say there was no decorations. And y'all know I'm not about to get on this internet and tell lies. So here's the decor for the ball.
Sorry. So you have a few petals across a long table, and then what's this, like a menu or something?
These rose petals weren't even silk. They were styrofoam of the highest quality. And these books were placed around on the table as decorations and as party favors. Allegedly, these were the books that were purchased through the bookstore partner that were supposed to be in the swag bags. You know, the books from the bookstore partner that backed out at the last minute. Allegedly, these are the books, but I can't confirm. And despite the fact that the event started at 7 p.m., of course, it didn't even start on time. The doors were still locked until about like 7:15-ish. There was no food. There was a small table with just desserts. And as a pregnant lady who ate cheesecake for dinner that evening, I went in the mood for desserts. So I was thinking if there were like crackers, you know, a box of Cheez-Its for us to fight over like raccoons, something. No, there was nothing else there. But there was a bar, a cash bar. You paid $250 for a ticket to access a cash bar for a $10 tiny little cup of wine. But you know, that didn't bother me personally. I'm pregnant, I don't drink. So I'm trying to see if I can get like a water or a Sprite or something. Yeah, if you want to get like a tiny cup of Sprite, it was going to be $5.
No.
Bottle of water, $5. And keep in mind, earlier in part 3, I told y'all that we didn't even get water bottles as authors as part of the event. Oh no, the bottles were provided, we just had to pay another $5 for them. But just like every good story, the heroes always come through in the end. The first hero of our finale is Speaker Steve! Here he is, everyone, the infamous Bluetooth speaker that provided all of our music for the ball. But don't give credit to the creator for Speaker Steve. This lovely security guard right here took pity on us.
Wait, so it was that awkward and that terrible. They didn't even have music, so a security guard bought in their speaker. How are you going to have a ball without music?
And brought Speaker Steve from his home just so we could have some music at this ball. So yes, friends, that means the plan for this ball was for us to stand in this giant empty room with no food, a cash bar, stand there in silence.
So the decor was basically just styrofoam petals and books that should have been in the party bags that were thrown away. Apparently they were lost. There was no food, no free water even. That's actually illegal in the UK. The security guard bought a Bluetooth speaker out of pity. How embarrassing. This fly. So that was the event, right? And if we've learned anything by now, you know that the apology we're about to get from the organizer is going to be god awful.
Hi everybody, I am wanting to issue a formal apology. I do understand that the ball tonight was not set up to standards. There were a lot of issues with getting set up and it was not set up well. I want to apologize. If you would like a refund, please contact me and I will issue a refund immediately. Thank you.
You're dehydrated. Please hydrate. Worst apology ever. It wasn't just the ball that was terrible. It was the whole fucking thing. We have a written apology also. Dear authors and vendors, I wholeheartedly apologize for failures of this weekend. I wholeheartedly apologize for failures of this weekend. All the authors must have read that and be like, what? This event was unacceptable, and I will do everything in my power to make it up to all of you. I do want to go over a few things before I go over how the refunds will work. I did not make any money off this. Event. It seemed like everyone lost money. I put thousands of dollars into this event, and all author fees and ticket sales went directly to bills for the event. The author fee of $100 included the $40 charge of your table and $15 charge per chair, and everything on top of that went straight into convention center costs. There were 603 tickets sold for this event, with the attendance of 140. I do apologize for this because the ticket sales were there, but the attendance was clearly not. Refund details. Featured authors will receive the attendance fee that was promised, compensation for travel, and to cover the hotel issues. Sure. Worst apology ever. Please hydrate. That was terrible. Like Percy said, a lot of the authors that showed up to this event were new, so them maybe flying out or buying stock in hopes that this event would be good to boost their career, get some sales, is so heartbreaking. What a waste of their time. If you do want to check out any of the authors, Percy has a lot of their details over on her TikTok, which I'll link down below. These people have no business setting up events or holding events. You have no taste in decor, one. You have no idea what it's like to have a good event and then have a content creation room with no props, no backdrops, no nothing like that, no cameras set up, no ring lights set up, and it's an empty room. Terrible. Worst apology ever. I dislike that person 100%. Let me know your opinions down below as always. I would be demanding my money back if I was anyone involved in this event. All right, see you soon.